Nadeem Bukhari notes. Linguistics. Communicative competence. Para number 1. Chomsky postulated the theory of language in terms of linguistic competence and linguistic performance. Linguistic competence according to this theory is seen as the innate knowledge of the ideal speaker which permits him to create and recognize the grammatically correct sentences of his language. Communicative competence, building on the concept of linguistic competence, can be seen as the innate knowledge which permits the user of a language to create and comprehend utterances, to issue the communicative tokens of speech appropriate to context. Such a knowledge is clearly concerned with the level of discourse in which language operates on an open system in constant interaction with its environment, and is, therefore, an instance of pragmatic knowledge of which syntactic and semantic knowledge are a part. A specification of communicative competence can be recognized as an attempt to define not only how a user is able to judge grammatically but also how he is able to recognize what is acceptable as a speech act in a social situation. To specify communicative competence would mean producing speech acts appropriate to the speech events one is involved in. This is to propose the rules of speaking by means of which man participates in social life as an active member of a Hayman speech community. Para number 2. One of the most fundamental stimuli for learning a foreign language is developing an ability to communicate appropriately in real-life situations. The ability to manipulate syntactic structures of a language correctly is only part of what is involved in complete language learning. Viewed from this perspective, Chomsky's theory of linguistic competence, performance does not take into account the socio-linguistic aspects involved in learning a language. Linguistic competence as perceived in this theory is concerned with the internal structure of a language, and linguistic performance is understood as the manifestation of its internal structure as realized by a native speaker. Sociolinguists and others have long realized the limitation of this theory and have stressed the need to include in the model knowledge of the rules of use and communicatively appropriate performance. Hymes introduced the notions of communicative competence to cover the kind of knowledge a fluent speaker of a language must possess in order to produce and understand contextually appropriate and comprehensible utterance in a language. This type of knowledge is of vital importance for a FL learner to be able to communicate with native speakers without causing any pragmatic failure. Para number 3. Research at EFL Learning has found that even at an advanced level, learners face problems in acquiring the appropriate ways to communicate language functions. It has been also established in other investigations that speech acts differ cross-culturally in their functions, distribution, and frequency of occurrence. Studies in the ethnography of communication have highlighted differences in the social roles of language use and interactional styles in cultures, and found this phenomenon to be a possible source of misunderstanding between speakers from different cultural backgrounds. Thomas distinguished two types of pragmatic failure which arise due to sociolinguistically inappropriate comprehension or production by a non-native speaker. 1. Pragma-linguistic failure, e.g. the inappropriate transfer of speech act strategies from L1 to L2 or transferring from L1 to L2 expressions which are semantically or syntactically equivalent but have different interpretative bias. 2. Socio-pragmatic failure, e.g. mismatches which arise from cross-culturally different assessment within the social parameters affecting linguistic choices, size of imposition, social difference between speaker and hearer, and relative rights and obligations. Para number 4. Given the fact that certain aspects of the communicative properties of a language are culture-specific, it is fairly difficult to acquire knowledge of all the communicative properties necessary for effective use of the target language in one's own country. As a recognition of this problem, emphasis has quite recently been on communicative aspects of language teaching. The rationale behind notional syllabi is moreover to help teachers provide a set of useful guidelines. Para number 5. Thus, to be able to communicate appropriately, the advanced learner is supposed to be competent in handling all types of syntactic structures. He is supposed to be in command of enough vocabulary to be able to verbalize all the concepts he wants to in real-life situations. Moreover, learners need to be aware of the exact range of the meanings of various lexical items, e.g. denotative, connotative, collocational, polysemous, etc., understand the difference between spoken and written language, and know the range of lexical codifications for various language functions, particularly when they differ significantly from L1. This would help the learner avoid problems of pragmatic failure due to deviant speech acts in the target language.